Okay, so now we're going to look at range of motion for the fingers and thumb. So again, we're going to use our surface goniometer. There's also another smaller one, which right now I can't find. It's quite good for measuring the DIP and PIP. And we're going to use this one today though. So usually what I'll do is get the patient into a comfortable position, mid-supination, pronation, whatever's comfortable for them. And this also helps me to be able to see and sort of make it easy for me to access their fingers. It can be a bit hard if they're in this position and I'm trying to lean over them and measure everything. Sometimes you have to do that, but ideally we go mid-supination, pronation. So the first thing we'll look at is your MCP flexion. So MCP flexion, technically what you're doing is composite flexion, so relaxing your fingers, and what we're doing is just looking at how far his MCP can flex. So normally, normal range is 100 degrees for that. Some people have 90, but 90 to 100. And so you could individually measure his MCP flexion. Extension is obviously just the opposite, and this is normally 20 to 40 degrees positive extension. We can obviously then measure IP flexion, so doing the same thing, and normal range for that's 100 degrees. And then we can also measure DIP flexion. We've got 76 degrees. So normal DIP flexion is between 70 and 90 degrees. Passively you should get to 90. We could measure a composite flexion, which is made up of the MCPs, the PIPs and DIPs, which is a good sort of general measure for finger stiffness. Composite flexion is actually measuring a fist. And so you've got two ways you can measure that. You can write it as composite flexion, and then you could just measure the joint that's restricted. Or, when it's really restricted, a great way to do it is actually to measure the distance between the nail bed and the either proximal or distal palmar crease, depending on whether it's the first two fingers or the second two fingers. So let's say, I don't know if you can see that, but if David had a restriction, I could actually just get a ruler in there and measure the distance between his nail bed and the proximal palmar crease. So it's 41 millimeters. And that's a good general measurement of multiple joints, quick and fast. And also, functionally, patients really care about making a fist to be able to grip things more than actually being able to bend one joint independently. With your thumb, we can measure isolated IP joint flexion or MCP joint flexion and extension, or we can measure opposition. So opposition is the Kapanji scale, which is in your notes, and looking at how far down you can reach. Full range is, oh wow, you've got great movement. So full range is actually the distal palmar crease. Otherwise you count back. So that Kapanji 10, so K10, K9 is the next crease of the MCPs, and it works all the way up to 1 and 0. So that's a great simple test to do. The other thing that we can do is actually measure thumb extension or adductor pollicis length. So if we keep the palm flat on the bed or the table, you can measure from the table to the nail bed. So if somebody was extremely tight through their adductor pollicis, this can be a nice simple objective measure that you can use for muscle length. You can measure web space, which can be, if you had scarring or burning, could be important just for the skin, or it's also another good test for the first dorsal interossei. So you might need a longer ruler than this, but what you're measuring is how far the patient can separate their thumb and index finger, and measuring from each tip of the nail bed and comparing to the other side. So I don't have any standard measurements for these, it's just comparing to what's normal on the other side. So there's some great tests that you can use for the hand and the fingers.